Hello guys, this is Shaky V's and welcome to another weekly episode of my Road to a Katana Blue build in Dark Souls 3. So this week we've actually got a double boss fight episode, so we'll be fighting the Dancer at the very beginning, as you can see here from the cinematic, and towards the end of the episode we actually face and defeat Osiris the Consumed King as well. So it's a really action-packed episode, I hope you enjoy. I think the most interesting thing for me now with how this build is going is this week we actually see, and I think this is the first time I've seen this against a boss, we see me achieve some blood loss with my passive bleed weapon, the Uchigatana. So far I've only achieved blood loss against the boss with the Blood Warden Twin Blades, which I used against Aldridge, but now I guess my look stats at a good level, that I was able to actually achieve really significant blood loss against the Dancer and against Osiris. You'll see both of those moments. I did them nicely so you can pick them out. We get well over 800 HP in one hit against the Dancer, and then we get, I think, upwards of 900 to 1000 HP in one hit against Osiris with blood loss. It's incredible. So I'm really pleased with that. You know, based on the fact that it's a passive bleed weapon, it's not, you know, inflicting bleed with every strike. The fact we were able to get blood loss against these bleed resistant enemies, they're not immune to bleed but they're resistant, I'm pretty damn impressed with. And what I really like about this build is that game of chance. You know, it's called luck for a reason. You know, you've got no visual indicator as to whether you are inflicting bleed or not, and the boss is getting blood build up. But you get these moments where you suddenly get this big visual cue, that big gush of blood gushes out the boss, you get a cool little sound effect as well, and you see that massive HP dent. It's just really satisfying. So there it is, 897 damage in one hit, and it just looks ace as well. So I'm really enjoying this build. Yeah, Osiris is even more bombastic. It's quite a massive moment of bleed loss against him. So yeah, really satisfying, and yeah, I just can't wait to play more, particularly with some of the later bosses I've talked about. They don't have bleed resistance, so I actually might just run with the Katana and see how that fares, or I might switch it up and use the Blood Warden Twin Blades. I've talked about that quite a bit. But yeah, all in all, both bosses, neither are particularly challenging. I think if you play the Dancer near the start of the game, which you can do if you're silly, it would be a very challenging boss. But at this stage, if you play the game as intended, I guess, the Dancer's fairly easy. You flank to the left, you stay out of the way of his grab and his attacks, and you can get loads of damage in him in the first half of the fight that way. And obviously towards the latter half, as you can see here, use those pillars to great effect so you can stay out of his really damaging attacks. Osiris the Consumed King, very easy boss. You can rain down attacks on his kind of rear and his legs, and then I notice in the latter half, to mitigate that tactic, he does a spinning kind of tail swipe, and again all you have to do is to remember to roll, and then again you can just rain down a few attacks on his rear and legs whilst he's recovering from that attack. So pretty easy fights, both of them, but nonetheless really satisfying to get that blood loss against both. So now I'm looking to get 40 now as my milestone across Dex and Luck. I think they're both at 34 this episode, we managed to get them to, and then I'll start ploughing some more points into endurance and health. I am conscious of the fact endurance is posing an issue for me at times. It did against the Dancer, a lot of avoiding attacks, and sometimes that can slow me down, so you've really got to manage your endurance, so I do need to keep an eye on that. That's a bit of a hole in my game. Next week we really are on the final stretch, guys. For those that are stuck with this series, I really do appreciate it. We've now really technically got kind of 3 must-do bosses to the end of the game. So we've got Dragon Slayer armor, we've got the Lothric Princes, and then I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's then the final boss, Soul of Cinder. So I think what I will probably do, I'm not sure about going back to Smouldering Lake. I'm not convinced I'm going to do that, so I'm not going to make any promises otherwise. What I may do is I'll probably do Untended Graves, because that's a cool little fun area. You pick up some Titanite chunks, so I need to go there anyway, and I can fight Champion Gunda and see how I fare against him with my bleed build. I haven't actually done any research on him, so we'll see how that fares. So I think I'll do Untended Graves, Champion Gunda, and then I'm on the home stretch then, guys, is, as I said, Dragon Slayer, the Lothric Princes, and the final boss. Sorry, I've just realised, massive glaring mistake there. We're also of course going to do the Nameless King. So again though, that's an optional boss, so we're going to do 2 optional bosses, and then we do the 3 path to the final boss stretch there. So we are definitely doing Nameless King. I've talked about this before. In the latter half, the second stage when he's human, he is not bleed resistant, so that is going to be insane. I think we're going to inflict blood loss quite significantly against Nameless King, so I'm really looking forward to that. So we have got a good few more episodes actually thinking on this again. But nonetheless, thanks for everyone for the support. I hope you enjoy this episode, and all the best and take care. Bye now.
slaves. Finally taken notice, have you? Of the power of my beloved Ocelot, child of dragons. Well, I will not give him up, for he is all that I have. Dear little Ocelot.